Is this an overpriced gaming controller, or is it a tool that race drivers can use to improve their craft? And that's the question I want to answer on this video. And I think you know the answer that I'm going to give because of the way I use simulators. Now, of course, they're great fun. Go online, racing people online, and you can see how busy it is now. iRacing is really busy on the weekends, and you can just have fun. But what I want to use it for is training. Training you to become a better driver. And you have to do that, if you want to do that, you have to do that very specifically. It's like, okay, I've got certain aspects of my performance that I want to improve. First off, you got to know them. What is it that I suck at in the real world? What is it I'm struggling with? What is it my teammates are caning my backside in because I need to go home and train it? Now, back in the day, all we could do is think about it. Visualize the sort of changes and improvements we want to make. Go to the gym. That was it. We couldn't really improve much without being on track. Now, with a simulator, that's there to give you a training apparatus at home. So if you're trying to convince your parents whether to spend 4 or 5 grand on a good simulator, talk them into it. It's worth it. It's worth missing a test day in the real world to pay for a simulator. I promise, a good one. Because this is where I'm listing it out. On the driving side, obviously, if you set it up right, you can work on your braking technique. If you're not getting enough of an initial hit on the brake, or if your bleed off is not very good in the car in the real world, practice that on the sim. If your racecraft is not very good, practice it on the sim. You can do it online, of course, on iRacing, but I would do it in a purposely designed, hosted session with your coach or with other drivers to actually work on racecraft. Have them follow you, you follow them. You're doing different moves at a track you're just about to race at. So racecraft is amazing as well to train on this. And then you come to the mental side. Now, the mental side, I must admit, if you're on an online open session, it's race and everybody's in there and you can see real drivers are in there, that's great for creating pressure. Because you've got to perform. You've got, on iRacing, you've got a 2-lap qualifying, and then you do the race itself normally. And that means I've really got to perform on demand. Training the mind. You can take from that, how did I perform? How can I improve next time? Then enter another session and work those mental techniques or strategies that you're using to get better. And that can easily bleed into the normal world. Now, as you can tell, I'm an advocate of it. Because you can work on your driving. Because you can work on the mental aspect. What else do you need? You're getting in your 10,000 hours to a certain degree because you're training the same parts of the brain. If you approach each session and each online race as a training session, I really want you to keep that in mind. You've got to go there with a purpose, a process, goal. Not an outcome, one of results, but something you're working on in this particular race that's coming up or in this practice session. You must go there with purpose, just like a basketball player would on the court. Right, we're doing 3 throws now. Right, we're doing 3-point throws now. Now we're doing dunks. They do a specific drill. That's how you should design your simulator driving. And yes, even online racing. What am I going there for? Right, I want to maintain my concentration. Brilliant. Sim is great for that as well. So there's a whole host of things on the mental side and on the driving side. So to give you a rundown, an example of what I did today with a driver, it's a new driver, and I do this with most new drivers really to see where they're at if they've got a sim. I'll take them through this process. First of all, I'll take them to a track or a car that's not normal. You know, you can tell that they haven't done many miles or kilometers or laps in that car, especially the car. I'll choose that. I'll tell them just before the session what we're doing so they can't get any training in, so I can see them, see how they react, see if they're excuse finding, oh, I've never driven this car, I haven't had to update it because I haven't driven it for so long. In other words, please don't judge me. So I get to see that part of them first to see what they're like. Then once we get into it, I design the session as I give them 15, 20 laps, however long it takes to be fair, as long as it's not too long, to get up to speed. So they then can learn the track, learn the car. Everything's sorted. Once they've done that, I start to do the drills, the proper drills. And I'm watching them, obviously, on these 15 or so laps to see how quick they progress, how they overcome the mistakes they made, if they get angry or not. So I'm learning them as they're learning the track and car. Then we move on to the drills. I change the setup. Something people don't talk about. If the setup is not what you want on the simulator, people just change it. However, I want to test drivers. I want to see how good you are at driving with understeer. And obviously I've done this so often with so many different drivers, I kind of know what a good lap time is with that setup. So I give them a setup that actually it's oversteer first, and it's terrible. You have to have very good footwork in order to keep that car in a straight line and to get a good lap time out of it. So first of all, setup 1, oversteer. Setup 2 is often pure understeer. So then I give them a pig of a car that just won't turn in very well, and they have to be patient. Again, I'm monitoring not only how good they are at driving understeer, but how it affects them mentally if they do get angry or excuse findy. So this is a brilliant process for me. Then I'll stick a great setup on, or a good setup, qualifying mode. 3 push laps times 2, go for it. So then they're jumping from like an understeery car that doesn't really do what they want to do, and I put them into a good car, low fuel, bang, see how you do, bang, see how you do, 2 sessions. And then after that, we do a racecraft practice or drill where I'm following them for a while to see what they're like under pressure, see what they're like following me for a while, and then a straight out race. That takes about 2 hours, right? Just me and them on a hosted session. But after it, I've got a whole list of things that I think they can improve on, a whole list of things that I think they're really strong at. Straight away, the performance plan's there, it's ready to go. Now, how about using your sim that way? So you start to tear yourself apart, look at all the different attributes that you need to win this championship or this race or whatever you're going for, okay? Look at all what you need. Next week, I'm going to talk about becoming the person you need to become in order to get the job done. How about on track? Who do you need to become? Restarts, good at starts, really good at first lap performance. So when the lights go out or go green or the flag goes down, when you go, how good are you at switching on and overtaking? Racecraft, qualifying, focus, keeping your concentration over, all these things. There's so many to mention, so many things you need to be good at to be the complete driver. This is your way to train it. So I want you to take simulation even more serious. Use it to increase your hours that you're behind the wheel. Get that 10,000 hours in. You can now. Couldn't before without spending a fortune, but you can now. And also just remind yourself that one day a professional team is going to interview you pretty much by putting you on their multi-million pound or dollar simulator, and they're going to see how you go. And if you suck, they might not let you in the car for real. Think about that. Take it serious.